Well, hello again, race fans, and good afternoon, good evening. Depends on whether you're watching virtually here on VirtualRacing.Network or you're living your life this Sunday morning, Monday morning, depending on where you are in this part of the world. That's why we're changing it from the U.S. IndyCar League to the International IndyCar League. That's exactly what we have here. Fabulous international field of great IndyCar drivers that will be filling today's race here as I stumble over my words. And we get set for Season 15's race number 10 of 12. It'll be 190 laps around the famed Phoenix International Raceway in Phoenix, Arizona. The 1 mile track so different than the Loudon, New Hampshire racetrack that we just had last week. Completely different profile. So, of course, we get set for today's action here at the U.S. IndyCar League, and we expect a fantastic race today at a fantastic facility. Hello again, everybody. I'm Trevor Greenfield. Been with you since Season 10, and now here we are just about to conclude Season 15, and just a few more races left to go here. So the drivers right now just about out there on the track, getting ready to get qualified for today's action. Jump down trackside. See Mike West out there putting in his very first lap, the very first lap of anyone here in this session. And so, of course, in order to race, which we will be doing momentarily, you must first qualify. And here's one of the tracks where qualifying position might actually play a role. And so we watch Mike West put in his first lap. Good enough for second fastest, as James Kennedy actually makes his presence known here in Phoenix. Great to have Kennedy back in the field, and we'll get a great chance to talk about all the drivers in the field today and through the course of today's race, talk about some of the drivers involved in the championship. Here's one of the drivers you ought to know by now. This is Graham Bunyan of Brisbane, Australia. Graham has been on a tear as of late, picking up the championship lead in the U.S. IndyCar League, and very, very quickly putting some distance between himself and second place in the league. And as you can see, he's not leaving anything on the table out there today. Graham Bunyan taking provisional pole position, an 18.83 second lap. Here's Don Reedy, who we haven't seen out here on the track in the U.S. IndyCar League this season. He qualifies fifth fastest. How about Dan Ensch? He's working on his second lap. Dan racing for the Alzheimer's Association awareness, trying to end Alzheimer's, and racing for Last Lap Motorsports. Dan always giving us good information about the race and race strategy. We'll be happy to get to that in a short bit. Here's Mr. Stickwick, who is just coming to a stop after his 2 laps of qualifying, putting in yet another fantastic performance. Congratulations to him, getting up there into 6th place provisionally to start today's race. David Strid, one of the drivers who's easily able to take pole position, and just as I say that, what does he do? Indeed, teammate to Graham Bunyan, Ryan Bowles, and a number of others in the field, but Strid, a fast driver on his own on a solo track, able to take pole position so far. I don't think we're going to be seeing any other drivers that might be able to challenge him. Manuel Gomez-Esteban, David Worrell, and Iñigo Mardones yet to take a time. That will give us 16 cars to start this race, as we do see that Rick Lovison there bringing up the tail of the field 13th, and Will Stearns, MJ Ramirez getting in their qualifying lap. So we wait for this one to go official. It'll be in about another minute, but Strid taking a nice cool down lap and saluting the fans here. Sold out crowd as always in Phoenix, Arizona. So great for all of the virtual fans to come out and support the stars and cars here in the U.S. IndyCar League. So once again, you're watching live here on VirtualRacing.Network. So great to have you with us. And we're just about to finish our qualifying sequence, and then we'll be headed down onto the grid. We'll have a chance to talk about where everybody will be starting for today's race, as well as the point standings. In fact, why don't we go ahead and do that since we now have a moment? That's a good idea. And so, behold, the current points you now find on your screen, and this is how they stand following last week's race at New Hampshire. Graham Bunyan taking over the points lead just about one race ago from Jason Lowe, and unfortunately Lowe suffering from more issues this last race, and that really affecting him. So Lowe now dropping further back in the championship lead. You see all those bonus points going to Graham Bunyan, and now adding to that win total in the win column, adding to that total. But you also see David Strid holding on solidly to third place. He might have a chance at second in the championship. Dan Ensch still in fourth, Mike West fifth, Kelbaugh sixth, Bowles seventh. You see Dominic Hart and Mauro Ramirez starting to gain, and certainly a lot of positions in play here at the end of this championship season. Still quite a lot of positions to be made by these drivers. So, with that, why don't we go ahead and take a look how they'll be starting for today's race here at Phoenix. This is going to be Phoenix 190 presented by StickQuick. As always, stickquick.com, your partner for that device in your life that you never knew you needed. Go to stickquick.com. You'll see lots more details. We'll be talking about them much more throughout today's race. So, here you can see everyone gridding up on pit lane, and we look for them to be heading out onto the track very shortly. It's David Strid who will lead us to the green, and he couldn't be flanked by anybody more favorable to him than his teammate, fellow countryman, partner in crime, so to speak, Graham Bunyan. But I can tell you what, we've seen a lot of these races that look like they're going to start off very predictably with this duo here going to dominate. But I tell you what, it shakes up in a hurry, and it should be a fun one to watch. Will it be Dominic Hart? Speed is all Dominic Hart's middle name. Seems to either get pole position or be up towards the front, and he can run there. Could he take today's race? He'll have to do it from the second row. Alongside will be James Kennedy. The third row, Stefan Harding, with Mr. Stickwick, Richard Kelbaugh, going to be there in sixth position. Seventh place, Don Reedy, going to be starting his first race for this season. Exciting to have a newcomer in the mix. Jason Lowe going to be starting in 8th, Dan Ensch in 9th, Mike West in 10th, and starting in 11th, MJ Ramirez and Will Stearns. Last part of the grid, we'll have Rick Lovison starting next to Manuel Gomez-Esteban, Iñigo Mardones, and we are under green just like that. I guess it's a very short face lap, and David Strid leads us to that green flag with Graham Bunyan in tow. Catching not just myself, but it looks like several others off guard. We'll get the tower up there so you can tell where your favorite driver is running at. And so far, nothing has changed except we go back to the third position, and it's James Kennedy who has moved up a little bit, taking that one position from Dominic Hart. You can see it there on your screen. Now Kennedy starting to approach the backside of Graham Bunyan. Now, Phoenix International Raceway, not really a track that you would normally associate with being able to get much of a draft, so it's going to be a trick for all of these drivers today to be able to manage their cars, manage their tires throughout the stint, and manage their fuel over the long run, especially managing that fuel should it stay green flag out here for most of the race. So Kennedy there shown in third, Hart dropping back. Now we have side-by-side racing with Stefan Harding getting around Jason Lowe. Lowe hanging tight on the high side. He'll take that position back. So that's for fifth position. Lowe already climbing up a couple of spots, and now looks like Harding dropping back as Don Reedy, newcomer to this series, now marches forward with that USAF livery on that race car. I believe that's Connor Daly. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. That's his livery. But looking further back, Stephon Harding now dropping back those 2 positions into 7th place. Mr. Stickwick, Richard Kelbaugh dropping back a little bit, and just a little bit further back, now we have a 3-way tussle between Mauro Ramirez, Will Stearns, and it looks like Rick Lovison having a little bit of an issue, as is Mike West. There's Mike West. He's dropped back in a hurry, dropping back 4 positions. See what it looks like from on board with Mike West, driver out of Yakima, Washington. And tough to tell whether he hit the wall or not, but he seems to be dropping down in the order. I don't see anything flopping around on that car, but he's now has his mirror completely filled. That's Manuel Gomez Esteban behind. And Gomez Esteban now looks to the inside. This is really how it seems to work out when you're out there racing. It seems like you get freight trained no matter what you do, but if you make a wrong move or if you tap the wall, the next thing you know, like the sharks smell the blood in the water and they start circling around looking for that position. Not that I would ever compare such a lamb of a person, Manuel Gomez Esteban, to a shark, but you get what I'm saying. Manuel Gomez Esteban taking a look to the inside. I'll tell you what, even the most kind people out of the race car, out of their helmet, boy, you put that helmet on, you drop that visor, and you send these cars out there at 160 miles an hour, and a whole different person sometimes does emerge. But it looks like Mike West will survive that scare, and he'll continue his race, fighting for 14th and perhaps able to do more. David Strid in the lead. He's walked out to about 9/10 of a second lead. Seems to be ebbing and flowing. James Kennedy still trying to make a move and get by. It looks like Dominic Hart has managed to get back by Jason Lowe. So, and then we now have Will Stearns making an unscheduled pit stop. I'm going to guess that he perhaps had an issue, as this was just a moment ago with Will Stearns getting passed by Rick Lovison and then Iñigo Mardones. A number of drivers getting by Will, so perhaps Will, just a replay from a moment ago, perhaps Will sustaining some damage in a little bit of contact. Easy to do here, not just contact with another driver, but make contact with a wall, and it could be about 5 mile an hour reduction. In the meantime, David Strid clicking him off here, just about to get onto his 16th lap. Just like that, quickly approaching a 10th of the way done. And this one not really spreading out, as it looks like top 3 just separated by 1.31 seconds. So will James Kennedy, who now has Jason Lowe in tow, who has emerged very quickly, having, I just mentioned a couple of laps ago, he had just gotten by Dominic Hart had just gotten back by him. Well, it looks like he's managed to get back by Dominic Hart. And I would show you that replay, but it looks like we might see some more action from Jason Lowe, who looks like he put on his racing shoes, which we saw in his Facebook post was he's gone from proper racing shoes to a couple of others, and now he's using water shoes, river shoes, if you could call them that, the shoes that you put on when you go to the river and don't want to step on a bunch of sharp rocks or round rocks that destroy your feet. Well, it's that's become kind of a suggested replacement for racing shoes or socks for sim racers. I have my own thoughts on that, but I actually also use a pair of water shoes. I found that suggestion about 2 years ago on the iRacing forums, and so far everybody that I've talked to about using water shoes has been pleased with the results. It's a great in-between step between, as I mentioned, socks and full racing shoes, where you lose, with the racing shoes, you kind of lose a little bit of the feel with your feet over the pedals, and I think it's a happy medium. But either way, Jason Lowe loving those new shoes and put them to the test here in Phoenix. Will he be able to get by James Kennedy, the closest battle on the track? And he's getting ever closer. We go on board with the 004 machine racing for awareness of Rescue Ranch. Chrissy Newman and Ryan Newman's operation out of North Carolina. And looking back is not the thing to do, because perhaps James Kennedy did exactly what I just did and switched the camera so that we could see what it looked like to have Jason Lowe behind us. But it looks like Kennedy drifting up a little bit high in the corner gives the space for a very fast Jason Lowe to get by. And so Lowe now having to work the now lap car of Manuel Gomez Esteban, racing for Team Mazinger. Gomez Esteban pretty much, as you see Kennedy also having to do the same in the background. Gomez Esteban letting us all know this would be the last race of this season that he'll be able to compete in. He's got his summer vacation all planned and ready to go. So he'll be heading to a beautiful beach in the north part of Spain, and it does look wonderful. I wish him the most wonderful vacation and blissful days of sitting out there in that wonderful sunshine, soaking up the Spanish sun. Anytime I look at Spain and that beautiful coastline, it reminds me of my time spent in Southern California. Beautiful beaches down there, very similar. You take one of those photos and almost intermix it with a place like Spain or France on certain days. Dominic Hart, though, hey, he lives in a pretty awesome place surrounded by water and sand a lot. You can see there his hometown in the UAE, Abu Dhabi, one of those amazing miracles, if I could say that, in the desert. Just true statement of technology and capability. Quite an exciting place. A lot of cool stuff going on, certainly for esports as well. A lot of championships taking place there. And Dominic Hart in the middle of it, but today not really having the race so far that I think he'd like. He qualified up in third position. He's drifted back a couple of spots, now finding himself back in fifth place. But we take a look back up front, and we do have some changes here. I think having to work around some lap traffic is giving David Strid some fits. And you can see Graham Bunyan starting to climb closer to being able to perhaps put a move on his teammate and take over that lead position. Jason Lowe also approaching very quickly from the rear. This is not what David Strid wanted to see. He wanted to control the front end of this race, get that clean air, can manage those tires. But unfortunately, Strid is now locked in a battle, a three-way battle for first position, whether he likes it or not. Jump on board with the 101 machine, Graham Bunyan. We mentioned four-time consecutive champion, soon potentially to add that fifth championship. He'll need to stay clean today, stay out of the wall, avoid contact. And who can forget just a couple of races ago at Watkins Glen, Graham Bunyan making the choice to not challenge a potential race victor, and he did go on to win the race, Julian Altena, but Graham making the decision he would not challenge for the race win based on the fact that he did not want to potentially receive contact. And that is exactly one of the reasons why he is leading this championship by as much as he is. So Bunyan perhaps thinking championship here, and why wouldn't you? 5 consecutive championships would be a heck of an accomplishment, not yet been done here in the U.S. IndyCar League. And also, if I may say, as the most dominant driver in the U.S. IndyCar League, it'd be a great way to go out with that 5th and final championship as it gets rechristened to the International IndyCar League next season. But we are watching this 3-way battle here on lap number 37. I hope you're enjoying it out there. Wherever you're watching from, great to have you with us. Dominic Hart checking in over on YouTube, one of the racers here in the field, letting us know, wants us to all have a good race, everyone have a good race. Aussie racer, that's actually Graham Bunyan. He's also checking in over on YouTube. He's in the middle of a battle now. He's having to defend second position, running high and trying to keep Jason Lowe at bay. Well, he says, welcome everyone. Hope you all enjoyed the race, of course. And Iñigo Mardones also checking in, saying hello and good luck. So great to have everybody joining us here today. I don't think we're going to get the same viewership numbers as there's no Formula One race lead-in, but nevertheless, everybody watching gets the same awesome action every single time out. And now we see David Strid slowing. I think he's going to make his pit stop. There he is, but tough to say whether he got down to pit speed. That was very, very close on entry. We also see James Kennedy, Don Reedy, and Stefan Harding now in the pits. Mr. Stickwick, Richard Kelbaugh also in the pits. Mauro Ramirez making his pit stop. Manuel Gomez, Esteban, everybody in the pits. Graham Bunyan now in the pits. Jason Lowe, everyone in the pits, including Dominic Hart, except for the guy that seems to know how to make fuel while he's driving his Dallara IR-18 IndyCar, Dan Ensch, going the long way around, putting that car and the fuel mapping into the most lean position and stretching that gas tank an extra couple of laps. He brings it down onto pit lane, and he will take his final lap there of that green flag stint. Now coming in on lap number 41, so we'll see how that works out for him in the long run. But if I have to say, just doing the basic math, it's gonna end up a little fat, so in the math, so that's good for him because he can continue to save that fuel, go an extra couple of laps, and be able to take a shorter fill at the end. Of course, we never know how these yellows are going to play out, but the way that it's played out on track is quite interesting. David Strid emerges back at the 4, and Jason Lowe now in second place with Graham Bunyan in third. So I'm just studying here in the notes, and as I hear a car in the wall, and it is our leader, David Strid. What has happened? Will this bring out a yellow? So far it has not. Strid staying against the wall, and it does bring out our first caution of the day. David Strid into the wall, a heavily damaged car. It's going to try to bring it down the track, but I don't think that thing is even drivable. We're going to have to step back and check this out. I have no clue what just took place here, so I'll be watching this for the first time with you. Let's see if we can tell riding on board with David Strid. He's in the lead. That's Manuel Gomez Esteban on the inside, and I'm just going to assume that that is a little bit of netcode that reached out and nabbed him. Let's take a look one more time and see if we can tell from the blimp cam. It might give us a little bit more of an idea. Jump back over to David Strid and let's take a look. So it's really difficult to tell But I would say that if we just back it up and I watch Manuel Gomez Esteban's line through the corner, it does appear as though he might drift up. So if we watch from perhaps the roll bar cam, we can tell. And so heading into the corner, appears to drift down towards the yellow line, and then in real time heads down towards that groove. Now passes the groove in the racetrack, but I think perhaps he has far too narrow of an entry, too shallow of an entry. He may have seen that David Strid was coming up and he tried to give room, but just being that far down on entry perhaps made it unworkable to get through the corner and having to correct out. So, unfortunate circumstance for both of those drivers, but in particular our leader, David Strid, who is now taking service on pit lane and will hopefully get that car refired and back underway. In the meantime, it is Jason Lowe that takes over the lead here. And so we'll have a chance here to talk about everyone's most favorite device in the world that you may or may not be familiar with by this point, but soon you will be. I suspect within about 30 seconds to a minute. What you see on the right-hand side of the screen there is not magic. It's in fact incredibly simple. But what it is something you need in your life that you didn't know previous to now, but now you do. What is it? It's the magic tool that's going to help you to keep what you need readily available at a moment's notice. Just right in front of you. You need to stick something to something. This is the device that does it. You can see it on the right-hand side. It seems like magic, but it's not. All these tools stuck to this shed. All of those items stuck to the medicine cabinet. This vape pen stuck in your car, to your dash. Wherever you want to stick something, you can with the Stick Quick. It's that simple. It comes in multiple different colors. And as we see Jason Lowe getting ready to take us back to the green flag, you're going to want to head over to stickquick.com and pick yours up today. 6 different colors, multiple sizes in one package. Head on over today and get yours. It's a great gift to give to anybody in your life. Help them get organized. Help yourself get organized. Stickquick.com. Head over there today, pick it up, and let them know that the U.S. IndyCar League is where you found out about it. They'll be happy to know that their sponsorship is working. I always love to bring up the razor in the shower because it just seems like something you shouldn't be able to do. You can't hang up a razor in a shower, but you can with the Stick Quick. So we reset, and on lap 51, it's in fact Jason Lowe who's in the lead. But not far back, it's James Kennedy. Got to get around that lap car, but as soon as he can, he'll be looking at moving forward. Taking a shot there at Jason Lowe. So Kennedy now running in second, and I believe that is Mauro Ramirez. In fact, it is. Not used to seeing him in that BOR racing machine. We'll have to make sure that we get his information a little bit more cleaned up there on the broadcast. But great to have some new representation in the league as well. And tell you what, this driver's not real happy with the way that things have shaken out recently in terms of how he's been set back here in this race. Was racing for the lead not that long ago, now back in 5th position. His teammate caught up in a wreck so early on, and yet he's just set the fastest lap of the race last lap. So Graham Bunyan lost 3 positions so far, having to climb them back. His next target in his sights is friend, countryman Stefan Harding, who pretty much just lets him go by. once again, making decisions on who you're going to challenge and why and when is a key. Whether you're racing at the front or the back, it's something to keep in mind every time you're racing. You don't need to race everybody like it's the last lap as hard as you possibly can. Sometimes other drivers on newer tires, other drivers simply have more speed at that particular track. Really just got to watch for that. Now we take a look a little bit further back. Of course, we saw what happened to David Strid, and there's Manuel Gomez-Esteban on the inside. And we all know, these drivers all know each other by now. There's no intentional malicious acts in this league. We know that. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's at different skill levels. Everybody has different things going on with their cars. Perhaps some drivers making contact, making it difficult to continue to operate those cars in a safe way necessarily all the time on all the corners. It can be difficult just trying to hang on to a car. So these drivers are all very used to how this Dallara IR-18 car races, and now we can see Graham Bunyan all over the back of Dominic Hart. Hart into that third position, which is where he started, but he did fall back a couple of positions in that opening stint. Now back up into third. So Hart and Bunyan now racing for third, and it's tough to say that Bunyan won't find a way around. It does look like he's got that 101 machine dialed in here today, finding speed on the high side, finding speed on the low side. Getting that run off of that bank corner now through what used to be the final corner, but is now turns 1 and 2. Down what used to be the start-finish straightaway, now headed into turn 3 and 4. And that's how quickly a lap is done here at Phoenix International Raceway. You blink and it's practically gone. And Graham Bunyan makes his move down to the inside. He saw the gap open up, and Hart allows him to slip through. That puts Bunyan back up into third, now just down 1 position from where he started, and obviously that won't deter him. He's more than capable of getting back through and possibly challenging Jason Lowe for the lead. But I tell you what, James Kennedy, no slouch. He's taken race wins in the U.S. IndyCar League, and he is not afraid to go up there and mix it up. Kennedy always favoring to race with that Sparco sponsored livery on his race car. I often wonder what his house looks like, whether it's just all decked out in Sparco stuff. Got like a Sparco gaming chair and Sparco gloves that he types on his keyboard with, Sparco race glasses. But either way, James Kennedy taking that beautiful metallic blue and white machine up forward in this Phoenix race, and as I said before, making a great statement for himself that he always belongs in the front group discussion when we talk about racers that are capable of taking race wins, especially on ovals. And Kennedy getting it done here today. We take a look a little bit further back. Here's Dan Ensch. He was up in the lead earlier when he went longer than anyone else on that pit cycle, going to lap number 42. So Dan, as we mentioned, and you can see on the side pod, always racing with that End ALZ sponsorship and trying to bring that awareness of not just ending Alzheimer's. Of course, that would be an amazing thing for all of us to see here. But even more than that, for everybody who is currently suffering with Alzheimer's and their families as well. So important to get that message and head over to alz.org. Find out how to support your family members who might be struggling with that. Iñigo Mardones here, racing for Necki Racing Team, up actually 8 positions now, racing in 7th place, though having kind of a quiet day. Fellow Spaniard Manuel Gomez Esteban in the field, but Iñigo also getting up there towards the front many times. A definite capable front runner and challenger for race wins. Kind of needs the car to be in the right groove for him to find his way up to the front. But tell you what, anytime we're not even quite halfway through the race and he's already looking at 7th place or further up, that could be a day for Iñigo Mardones. Don Reedy started in 7th place. He's run higher. Unfortunately, he's drifted back 1 spot from where he started in that 7th spot. Now back in 8th, rocking that Connor Daly livery, I believe there. So far enough back that I don't think we pick up any of the additional sponsors that might be on there. But unfortunately, we have our second caution that has come out, and this one may not be so great. Let's see if we can tell how Mauro Ramirez and Dominic Hart had it coming together here. Looks like Mauro MJ just turns down, and Dominic Hart doesn't really realize that Mauro's going to be coming down on the track, and unfortunately that takes both of them out. So that's 2 front runners that have this unfortunate coming together. Let's see if we can tell more watching from Dominic Hart's point of view, which perhaps get a chance to do at some point when SDK decides it's not going to freeze, which it did last night during the broadcast, and it's doing currently right now. So there we go. We're going to be stuck on Mauro Ramirez until we can... You know, one of the beauties, I'll just go ahead and talk about it because why not? Let's keep the show going. One of the beauties of SDK, while I launch Windows Task Manager and kill the process, because you see, when it freezes, it doesn't want to close. So you actually have to go into Windows Task Manager and end the process. Part of the fun of being a paid beta tester, I'm sorry, I should rephrase that I pay them to beta test their software, but a very small group that manages the development, and isn't it wonderful that we can bring you all of these great overlays when they work properly, as they are now. So will it stay up and running for the rest of the race? Perhaps that's the most reason to stick around and watch a US IndyCar League broadcast. Will SDK not crash during the rest of the race? We're now taking bets. Place your bets in the YouTube chat room. All right, well, you didn't miss much there. Unfortunately, we did have another note, though, that Iñigo Mardones, unfortunately, having a personal issue come up, and he's going to have to drop from the race, which is too bad. But what it's done is given over that lead. It's managed to keep Jason Lowe in the lead here with this caution flag coming out. And I think Jason, it's tough to tell whether he would have wanted to see this come out. He was starting to open up a little bit of a gap, but either way, we'll have to catch him in the post-race interview and find out how this yellow caught him out. But it will have Lowe, Kennedy, and Bunyan with Harding and Ensch, your top 5. The lights are out on the pace car, and we should be seeing this field going green this next time by, unless they decide that they're going to delay the caution, which is possible. Apologize if the caution numbers are not correct. Once again, once SDK crashes, it loses all that data, so we don't know, but our caution on the day. And so Lowe steps on the gas pedal and gets a great jump. Lowe now emerging as one of the dominant forces here at Phoenix. We'll have to see whether or not he can manage to hold that lead. He's going to have to do a heck of a job holding off this guy, James Kennedy, who's also seemed to find a lot of speed here today. So Kennedy now really starting to close. Will he have something for Jason Lowe before this is all over? Will he overcook those tires? That's a very good question. Now, nobody that I can see came in. In fact, I take it back. Mike West, Manuel Gomez Esteban, and Mauro Ramirez, the only drivers to pit under that caution, as far as we can tell with our software. So I don't know exactly where these drivers are at with their tires in this stint, but the main thing is you wouldn't want to go out there and burn up those tires. By the way, speaking of burning it up, how about this one? Another new fast lap by Graham Bunyan just a couple of moments ago. So Bunyan now going to the high side on Kennedy. He looks high, tucks back in. This is what it looks like from on board the four-time consecutive champion's point of view here in his Dallara IR-18 IndyCar, and that's how quick it goes. Kennedy realizing the champ was on his outside and lets him go by. As I said, when that faster car comes calling, you got one decision to make, and that is, do I fight this guy or not? Or person, do I fight this person or not? The question, I have to say that because I'll tell you what, so many talented people, and in particular, many ladies that are emerging on the iRacing service as race-winning, extremely capable drivers. And the next thing you know, you think that it's just a guy's show out here. Well, look again at the top of the charts, and you'll find many different people at the top of those charts, not just guys anymore. So, great inclusive sport that racing is certainly evolving and emerging to become, and it's so great to see that here in sim racing as well. Graham Bunyan now in second position on lap number 89. Jason Lowe dives to the low line to protect. Bunyan takes as high of a line through the corner as he can. Gets that run down the track. He'll do the same here. He'll allow himself to enter the corner high. Bring it back down mid-corner. Now head back to the inside. He's going to keep working this same angle and wait very patiently for that opportunity to emerge. In the meantime, if you're three-time consecutive champion Jason Lowe, this is what your mirror is filled with. A blue and black car darting right and left. Do you defend and go low? Do you try to take a more aggressive line and go high and maybe hold on to that speed? Tough to tell what's the right move or the wrong move. But against a four-time champion, it's hard to do anything permanently. So these two, the biggest rivals in the U.S. IndyCar League, and about to do battle for the race win and the potential race championship in season 15. Jason Lowe up 7 positions so far since we rejoined. And Graham Bunyan there in second place. These two now looking to see whether they can keep each other at bay and hold them to a corner of the track where Bunyan can get by. Will Bunyan try for it this time? He's almost close enough to make that move into the corner, but unfortunately not able to pull it off as they head through that dog leg and down into turn 1. Still no change of order here with Lowe in front of Bunyan. Kennedy in third, Stefan Harding in fourth, Dominic Hart in fifth. That is your top 5 at the moment. And we continue to gain viewers. So great having you joining us here. Be sure to let us know where you're watching from. You are currently watching lap number 97. This is round number 10 from Phoenix of season 15, the U.S. IndyCar League. And you're watching a battle that couldn't be closer between 3-time champion Jason Lowe and 4-time consecutive champion Graham Bunyan. Bunyan now takes that car to the inside. And he'll pull off the move, no problem. Bunyan slides by and steals the race lead from Jason Lowe. Lowe continues. Now he'll get his chance to see if he can pull the same maneuver on Bunyan. Not having to defend any longer, but he'll have to make adjustments to the car to get it back onto the proper line to be able to carry that high line around the track and be able to attack like Bunyan did. Lowe now gets a good run off the corner. Is he going to take a look to the inside? He does. Lowe tries to make the pass work. Bunyan continued to take that high line and stretch that car through the corner. He'll carry the most speed, and he'll continue to hang on to the lead. Now Lowe will have to think twice about making another move. Can he take the speed and convert it into a pass, or will he just damage those tires trying to make those moves stick? You can see now Lowe starting to drop back a little bit, so we'll see whether or not he can climb back up there and make another attempt. Perhaps these lap cars will play more of a factor. You see Mr. Stickwick, Richard Kelbaugh dipping down to the inside, trying to get out of the way. You see these drivers not wanting to be affected by these lap cars, trying to pick their way through. In the meantime, while that cools down, when we take a look a little bit further back, this is James Kennedy. He's drifted about a second back from this battle, but don't count him out. He knows how to manage this car, he knows how to manage the tires, and he knows how to be in the right place at the end of this race. Continuing to watch that battle ahead between Bunyan and Lowe. It looks like Lowe perhaps drifting a little bit further back on that lap. Dominic Hart in fourth spot. Drifting back one spot from where he started in third, but Hart in that beautiful red, white, and black paint job. Sharp color scheme. Unfortunately, it's not leading him into the top 3 so far today, but we'll see how the rest of this can shake out, whether some fresh tires and a late race caution might matter. Let's take a look. Don Reedy just getting by Stefan Harding there. You just saw it in the back of the picture. Reedy now back up into 6th place, and he's been a top 5 runner pretty much most of today. He did have that incident earlier, slid him back a little bit, and so now he's going to be taking a look at possibly coming forward. So now we see this is Stefan Harding, also fellow Australian. Now drop back to 7th place, but a good solid mid-pack run for right now. Again, lots more racing to be done. And in fact, Harding and West on different laps, so that was not a pass for position, but does tell you a little bit about how much speed is in that number 102 car. Fortunately, also getting caught out early in some of the mess and drifting back, but Graham Bunyan continuing to lead here, now opened up just about 3 to coming up on 4/10 of a second lead. It hasn't changed much in the last several laps, so I don't see these cars really starting to move apart in terms of the tire degradation or the way that the cars are handling over the course of the long stints. Dan Ensch letting us know that might be able to stretch it as far as 47 laps on a green flag. Pit entry is a big problem. The interesting thing that Dan found was that Strid's set, this is a David Strid setup. David Strid, of course, a big part of the U.S. IndyCar League and sort of, I have to say, generally the de facto setup maker for the league, although they do all work on it together and sometimes other drivers bringing their setups to the table, mostly just a decision to make what is going to race the best for the week. But David Strid said actually improving as the race goes on, and that's a very interesting thing regarding the balance and the track. Always so fun to get in there and tear apart those setups and grind. Anybody out there who's a iRacer knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's easy to find that first, second and get right up there within maybe a half a second of the fastest drivers, but grinding for that last couple of tenths and even those last few hundredths is, when you're in competitive open setup racing, is really what it's all about when you're in open setup competition. But here, what these drivers are doing, of course, to get ready for the U.S. IndyCar League races is to get the setups into the best position to be able to race. And so that is frequently what they're focused on the Saturday practice sessions when they come out here and each and every week and go through evaluations of these setups. Speaking of which, if you're out there watching now and you'd like to take your chance at coming out here and racing the likes of Graham Bunyan, Jason Lowe, James Kennedy, Dominic Hart, so many great racers here in the U.S. IndyCar League, well, you might even be able to get out there for this season. If you have some experience, as we now see Graham Bunyan making a pit stop and Jason Lowe in tow, and Lowe gets it a little sideways on entry. I don't know if he got damage. Let's take a look at that replay and see what happened to Lowe. This on board as he entered the pits. He's right on that edge. You can hear the tires and adhesion. And, just weight, balance, transfer. You can hear it just hit the wall, but there's a chance that there's not much damage there, and there's a chance that that could get fixed very, very quickly. Hey, how about this driver in his inaugural race? And also, we are under caution here for Stefan Harding. We're going to take a look at that. This driver, Don Reedy, taking over the lead here on lap 120 in his inaugural race, his debut here on VirtualRacing.Network and in the U.S. IndyCar League. So we haven't seen that since Dominic Hart. And he's going to have to do some interesting work here, as he's going to have to really wait for that pace car to come around and catch him while the other drivers slow under this caution. It does say first caution. Of course, that's not accurate. We did lose some of our telemetry. And so currently, Don will need to come in and pit. For example, James Kennedy coming in on lap 119. Dominic Hart in on lap 119, 118 for Bunyan, 119 for Ensch, 118 for Jason Lowe. And then you go back to David Strid, who was on lap 90. So right now, David Strid would absolutely love it if everybody decided to come back into the pit, as that would allow him to gain another lap. But Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen and let him get his lap back. However, Don Reedy is taking his opportunity to come into the pits, and he should reemerge, I believe, in 6th position, because the first car caught out a lap down was Jason Lowe. So we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out here, because iRacing sometimes does some funky stuff with reordering the race cars through the caution. But right now, it's still Don Reedy shown in the lead, and it's possible that he may be able to get back out in the lead, or is he just being overtaken by James Kennedy? He is on the track right now being overtaken. So when he comes back out, he is going to actually be sent forward of these cars, of Dominic Hart. We're going to wait and watch and see how iRacing makes this work. There's Dominic Hart on the outside. Now we expect, the way that our timing and scoring is showing, Don will be ahead of Hart to restart. So with all of this fumbling around, we've got several drivers that are up ahead of James Kennedy on the track. You can see those drivers will all be waved around and get a lap back. You got Mauro Ramirez there, Mike West, David Strid, and they're beginning that lap back procedure right now. So Kennedy will close up to the back of the pace car. These other drivers will have just one lap to get all around the track and close up the back of this pack. And in tow will be Don Reedy in his debut, running in 2nd place here on VirtualRacing.Network. Some exciting different things happening here. Not exactly the world's cleanest race. Unfortunate incidents taking out a couple of drivers out of contention, but that's, that's racing. Whether you're talking about real life or sim racing, you got to survive. You got to stick it out until the end. Kennedy's done a great job of doing that. He's had the speed so far today. On lap 124, he'll lead us back to the green flag. Don Reedy, he's taken his pit stop. He's taken his tires, his fuel. Will he be able to get to the end on that? No, not even close. So everybody's going to have to come in and get another splash of fuel, but it will be an arbitrary amount. So we're going to have some drivers, if this goes green, taking kind of a custom amount of fuel, deciding to short fuel or not. But here, Dominic Hart under attack by Graham Bunyan. Bunyan around the outside. Will he make that move stick? You're watching it. Side by side they go, and Hart has to fall backwards into that 4th spot. Now Bunyan not going to let up. He races the newcomer. He says, "Hey, newbie, I know this high line move." Do you? I don't think he does. Don Reedy slips back into 3rd. Bunyan now sets his sights back on 1st position. That's how quickly the champ has come back through this field. Other drivers perhaps would take their time and show the utmost impatience, but Graham Bunyan, like navigating a car that he's driven since the 1960s, seems like he can do this thing with his eyes closed, passing drivers left and right, negotiating traffic. The question is, will he have the outright speed to chase down Kennedy? Well, it's closing. That gap now down. Throw the battle box up there. You can watch it. There you can see that live time on the right-hand side, now down to 0.7 of a second. Quickly coming down to 0.6 of a second. And we have a side-by-side battle back here as Don Reedy now slips backward. It's Hart who moves forward. And you can see just behind, it's Jason Lowe now battling with Dan Ensch. That's for 5th position. Ensch also a big part of this championship, currently in 4th place. So He's looking to retake third, that's for certain. And he'll need all of those points that he can get. In the meantime, here is Lowe back on the backside of Don Reedy. And Reedy has fallen from second, now back into fourth. And Jason Lowe looking to take advantage. He smells that blood in the water. He dives low on the track. And I guess that car is not too damaged because he manages to take that fourth position from Don Reedy. Back up front, it's a side-by-side battle. Graham Bunyan makes his move to the inside and takes the lead from James Kennedy. Kennedy now trying to fight back. Will he have anything for the Master? No, he won't. Not on this lap. So move Bunyan back into the lead. Kennedy back into second. But again, anything can happen at the end of this one still. Over 50 laps, 56 laps to go, 55 now. But Kennedy starting to drift backwards, and that's pretty much what we were seeing on outright pace. It looked like Bunyan just a little too quick for the rest of the field here today. Jason Lowe in fourth spot, not able to challenge Hart yet for third. Hart doing a stout job of hanging on to that third position. We'll see whether he can continue to hold on to that podium, but we have another driver in the pits. This is David Strid. Now, I think he may be trying a very aggressive undercut strategy here, if I'm just guesstimating. This would be to put himself in position so that he might be able to stretch this tank the rest of the way with a caution, and should that caution come out, everyone else will need to pit. Therefore, he could potentially get one or more laps back in that process. So I think this is kind of a last-ditch effort to try to get a lap back, and he certainly knows with Esteban and Ramirez behind him in position on the track, he really doesn't have anything to lose in terms of going more laps down. So kind of a good strategy call. Really nothing wrong with it, and certainly a chance for Strid to get that position and potentially that lap back. But back here at the front, this gap is now opened up to 4/10, now climbing to 5/10 of a second very quickly. So a half a second difference between our two leaders now. We jump back to this battle here for third. Still Hart and Lowe. Not much has changed there. Lowe hanging almost perfect pace, now starting to close on the back of Hart. Will Lowe perhaps have a look at Hart for that third position before too long? Pit stops now undergoing for Mr. Stickwick, Richard Kelbaugh, and we just saw Mike West poke into the pit. And there goes Lowe down to the low side, sliding by that number 76 of Dominic Hart and taking third position back. So now Lowe back up into third, back in championship territory to get some of those points. And with where Lowe's nearest rival is behind him in the championship, or near him in the championship rather, David Strid is really the driver that I think he has to watch out for the most. So in this scenario where Strid is trapped a couple of laps down and Lowe is still out there racing in the top group, and this is one of those examples where a podium position, and maybe even taking second place, would give him enough points that it might be worthwhile really pushing to get those couple of positions. Either way, trying to hold on here in third. We'll see whether or not he can get some more points. For all of you that are fans of the Floridian and what he's done here in the U.S. IndyCar League, really got an uphill battle trying to defend his second place in the championship and trying to possibly overcome Graham Bunyan up there in first. But Dominic Hart, he's had a good run here today, back and forth. It's not been a bad one. Unfortunately, like I said, that speed not really matching what we've seen lately out of Dominic Hart, which is typically either take pole position or be up there running in the top three. This guy, though, great debut so far. Right now, up 2 spots, running in 5th. He's been solidly top 5 all day today. Don Reedy looking great on debut. And also, just a heads up, he's only a 27.54 oval iRating. I say only, you never know. He could have 15 years of iRacing experience, or however many years iRacing's been around. He could have a lot of years and just not really spend that much time in official iRacing, so that might be a bit of a deceptive number. But nevertheless, when you compare it to somebody like, say, Graham Bunyan with his 5,972 iRating, it does kind of put things into perspective that this newcomer with about half of that iRating still able to get up there in the lead. And so, as I was mentioning before, I cut myself off because I think we were going to caution. If you'd love to get up there, just like Don Reedy has this race, and give it a shot, hey, if you've done any IndyCar racing at all on iRacing, you're pretty much a shoo-in. There are some standards, so you do need to contact Jason Lowe, and the best way to do that is to go through the description on this video. You will find a link that'll take you right over to the member page on iRacing, and you'll be able to go ahead and apply to the league. You'll have a chat with Jason Lowe, the administrator. You'll make sure that it makes sense for you to join the league and that you've got what it takes. Probably invite you out to the Saturday practice session. And from that point on, get a chance to come out here and appear on broadcast on VirtualRacing.Network. So give it a shot if you're out there watching casually or watching in replay. Feel free to subscribe and like this video for more. And we'll see you out here on Sundays, possibly giving your chance at a race win. Why not? Do it in your debut. It's that much more fun to call. Don Reedy definitely gave out to set out to do that today, but best intentions often come into conflict with other ways that races can play out here at iRacing, that's for sure. So it's always best to have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and somewhere when you get around plan Q, you might find yourself in that last caution of the race, and with fresh tires sitting in second or third position. It's usually plan Q, because you never know how these cautions are going to play out here. But it doesn't matter for Graham Bunyan. He's been fast all race long. He's had a couple of setbacks. He's climbed back up through the field. And we're now seeing that Jason Lowe has dipped into the pits. So definitely on time. This would be right in his pit window at the earliest point. This is heads-up strategy from Jason Lowe, and I think we're going to see Graham Bunyan probably respond before too long. Though the trick here would be to see how long you can go on this stint. If you take what Dan Ensch told us about the lap times earlier, he's saying that basically the setup improves over the course of the stint, and the lap time fall off is kind of negligible. So if we're looking last time, Graham Bunyan did a 19.28, and his best lap is at 18.94. So there's not much lap time fall off from the beginning to the end of the stint. Instead, what you're trying to do in this case is to see who can go the longest. Because the longer that you go, as we see Graham now heading for pit lane, see whether he can get that speed down. Tough to tell. Our telemetry is not perfect, but it looks like he got there. Relatively safe entry there, but that gives over the race lead back to James Kennedy. Dominic Hart in second, Don Reedy in third. Dan Ensch also now into pit lane, taking that final pit stop. So the point being that if you can go longer than the other drivers, that just simply means a little bit less time to fill on pit road. So the more laps that you go, the less fuel you need, and you can officially take less fuel than your competitors, and that's a massive advantage, to the tune of possibly a second or two on pit lane. In the meantime, once again, he's back there in the lead. Don Reedy in his debut, saving fuel and able to get some of those bonus points that are available for leading laps. So good for him. Getting a lot of camera time here today. Don Reedy in debut. And having a good time out there driving around. It's a beautiful Sunday out here in VirtualRacing.Network's headquarters near Seattle, Tacoma, Washington. Of course, in other parts of the world, where Graham Bunyan and David Strid, Stefan Harding hail from, it's already Monday morning. They get to begin their new week already, but for everyone else west of that, as you see David Strid sliding by our race leader, Don Reedy here, who's on camera. I really hope that everyone has a beautiful rest of your Sunday here. We're sadly coming to the end of summer. I don't like to say it, but it's not that far off here, or at least the usable part of summer here in the Northwest. Maybe about another month or so of great weather before things start to tail off. Hope you have some great vacation plans in store, those of you in that northern hemisphere. Don Reedy now pitting, and it won't be long before Graham Bunyan makes his way around, retake that position. As you see at the top left of your screen, just 25 laps remaining. Graham Bunyan in clear position to take race win here, assuming that no cautions come out and give somebody else an opportunity to take that position. Look back here at James Kennedy, who has rejoined in second. Go ahead and get the track map up there so you can follow along with where your favorite driver is. We will try to get a couple of these graphical issues sorted out for next week's race. Obviously, nothing we can do about our software freezing in the middle of operation, shutting down on us, but some of the other stuff we can. So, apologize for the white text there in those little bubbles, but you can still follow along. And the driver that's highlighted there is the one that's on camera, which is James Kennedy at the moment. You can see it's a 4-second gap now that Graham Bunyan has built to Kennedy. We look back to Lowe, he's got about a 3-second gap now, so this race is pretty well broken open. Dominic Hart kind of running in his own zone at the moment, and running many seconds back from that. Pretty hard to believe. Cars are all racing on the same track. They've kind of all found their own zip codes to operate in. David Strid back in 7th position, and you can see that Strid actually is only shown 1 lap down now. So all that hard work and positioning and trying to get that lap back has truly paid off for Strid. Now just 1 lap down, and if he managed to get a caution and everybody for some reason decided to dive in for fresh tires, he may even have a chance to get back on that lead lap. Wouldn't that be something phenomenal? It's part of some of the cool trickery you can play on ovals. But Bunyan continuing here, just 18 to go. Flicking off so quickly for the 4-time champ. One of the beautiful sights here in the night at Phoenix International Raceway. Brand new scan that was done here this last season by iRacing, bringing us up to the new standard. Kind of funny going back and looking at the old historic times that were here at the track, as we see Don Reedy now getting close enough that he can read the license plate on Dan Ensch's car. But looking at when IndyCar last drove here, was a few years ago, and the last lap record that was set here was 2016, by Tony Kanaan. Now, you got to remember, in 2016, these cars were downforce monsters, piling on that downforce compared to what we have today in the Dallara IR-18 IndyCar, not to mention the amount of aero push that has been introduced with the aero screen introduction since 2016. But that lap record was set at 19.7374 seconds, actually. Of course, the track configuration totally different then, so these drivers actually have no real-life comparison of an IndyCar to go off of. I think all of us would love to see Phoenix International Raceway with its deep storied history of NASCAR and, shoot, not just IndyCar on the oval, but so many different Formula Series. Even my own father, Fred Greenfield, telling me the stories of running on the road course here back in the day in Phoenix on a day that was so hot in his Formula Ford that he had his radiator overheat, and that water came billowing out into the cockpit, burning his backside. And that's just one of the reasons why you don't like racing in the middle of the summer in Phoenix. But hey, the boys and ladies in IndyCar are doing it again. You've heard the stories coming out of Nashville this week, and Otto Award saying this is probably the most brutal race he's ever raced in. He does not have a cool suit. None of these drivers, obviously, in virtual racing need a cool suit, most likely, because they're racing in either air conditioning or they have ability to cool themselves with fans, etc. But those real-life drivers facing ridiculously hot temperatures in Nashville this week, and that's just part of the real-life story of racing in a track in the desert. Of course, I've talked about going to Auto Club Speedway in the last race that the IndyCars had there. You see Manuel Gomez Esteban going wide there, and we're watching the side-by-side battle for 5th place between Dan Ensch and Don Reedy. 8 laps remaining, but going to see the final race out at Auto Club Speedway. It's quite a nightmare, those temperatures reaching well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and basically melting everybody around the speedway, running out of free water for people to drink. So be prepared whenever you go to these racetracks, folks. Bring your sunscreen, bring plenty of water, stay hydrated, and have a great time. Just 6 laps remaining for Graham Bunyan. He now looks at this side-by-side battle that's just happening in front of him. He's got to figure out how to get by them, and this is one of the tricks as well. One of those difficult things to do is to try to get by 2 drivers that are in the middle of a duel, and that is completely legit. I mean, Don Reedy wants to get a top finishing position, and he'd love to put a move over on stalwart regular Dan Ensch here in the U.S. IndyCar League. You see this battle happening just up in front, but Dan Ensch, he needs those points. He's caught in this championship battle, and he needs every single point that he can get. So in the meantime, I don't think Graham Bunyan needs to do anything. He's got a 5-second lead. He just needs to be careful and not get caught up in a mess, get taken out, and lose a bunch of points here today. So with 3 laps remaining, he's going to be able to do that. Are these other drivers going to stay clear? Bunyan slides up between the 2 drivers. I think Don just gave him a little bit of room there. And Dan Ensch breathes a small sigh of relief and perhaps a big thank you to fellow series regular and veteran Graham Bunyan. Hey, thanks for giving me a little bit of space and getting me some extra points there. I need it. So will Ensch give him the favor and let Bunyan slip around here on this final lap? He does. Bunyan cruising into the desert night air. The lights glistening off the car as he takes it through turns 1 and 2 and down the back stretch. Now coming through 3 and 4. He's cruising to a victory. It's Graham Bunyan who takes victory here in the desert. And at the line, it was Don Reedy who takes that position back from Dan Ensch. We just missed that. We'll show you that replay here in just a moment as the cars head in to their cool down modes. What an amazing race it was. Stay tuned. We're going to have the final results here. We'll see that replay momentarily. Quite a finish to this race, and obviously Graham Bunyan will now make his way around, and other drivers coming to a stop here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that replay. That was something else. See if we can find exactly where that took place. Actually, our software not even catching it. There we go. Now it registers. So let's jump to that replay. Now you see Graham Bunyan there, the eventual race winner on the outside. And this was the last moment shot at it that Don Reedy gave heading into the final corner. Ensch takes the position on the inside, and it's off that final corner where Don Reedy gets that pass done. It happened so quickly. Let's go back and take one more look at it, perhaps from the blimp point of view, so that we can see it actually play out in real time. Reedy around the outside, Ensch not able to get the speed off of the corner. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I've got to see that one more time. Did Reedy even put it into the wall? Let's see if we can tell. Look at the, take a look at his right rear camera here. And we could take a look. This is something else. Coming off of the corner. Indeed, right up into that wall. That's giving it your all on your debut. A heck of a run by Don Reedy here on VirtualRacing.Network to race a very experienced Dan Ensch and steal that final 5th position. Some pretty cool stuff. So let's go ahead and get you the final race results on the screen here momentarily. There it is. As soon as we can get the rest of that information off of there for you. So Graham Bunyan taking the win. Consecutive victories here for Graham Bunyan in the U.S. IndyCar League. Fantastic to have Graham showing his capabilities once again here in the league. And so then taking second place, James Kennedy. Third goes to Jason Lowe, who does recover quite nicely from some incidents. Dominic Hart also having an incident much earlier on. And then Don Reedy there on that final last lap, taking Dan Ensch's position in 5th place. Mike West going to take 7th. David Strid in 8th. Manu Gomez-Esteban in 9th. Mauro Ramirez taking 10th. Stefan Harding in 11th. Richard Kelbaugh 12th. Iñigo Mardones, Rick Lovison, Will Stearns, and David Worrell. Not taking, I don't think he got to the start today, unfortunately, for Worrell. But fantastic race. We're going to see if we can catch some drivers here for their post-race interview. So I see Jason Lowe has managed to pop into the waiting room. Let's see if we can grab Jason in here and see if he's available. I know he's fresh off the track and perhaps needing a little cool down time himself. Hey, Jason, Trevor Greenfield's here in Victory Circle trying to get an interview with you. You available? Oh, yeah, I got you there. I saw you were muted there for a minute. Hey, Jason, fantastic run today. I mean, up and down, and you had incidents, you didn't have incidents. Talk us through your race today, how you managed to get all the way back to 3rd.
Car adjustments early on. I really think I figured something out that nobody else did at the moment. But then as the race went on, Graham and James both figured something out that I didn't. And at the very end, they just had some pace that I didn't have. Still thrilled to get a third. It was a fun race. I got extremely loose getting into the pits one time, so much so that on Graham's screen, he thought I wrecked, which was kind of funny. But I've seen his car do some strange things too, with how far we are apart in the world. So could have been a bad thing there, but I got straightened back up. And my last pit stop may have been just a little bit slow, a little bit too cautious. But getting into the pits here is tough. So that was one of my main concerns. And had some real fun racing behind Graham once he got around me early on, when I was able to stay with him and even put a little pressure on him. Whenever you can run with Graham and even put a little pressure on him, it makes you feel good about yourself, because he's the best we've got.
Absolutely. And I can certainly understand that. He's a fantastic benchmark. And as you said, I look for that when I'm in official racing too. Those same drivers that you see, you look at the race results, every single time out, top 5, top 3, race wins. That's our Graham Bunyan, who does it in official racing, and anytime you can stack up with him in that way. Now, you had pace for him today. It looked like if everything had gone green flag and everything had been just hunky-dory without any incidents, you might have been able to challenge for the win. Did you feel like you had that kind of pace?
Well, at times I did. The setup, the way I was using the in-car adjustments, about 3/4 of the way through the run, I kind of lost a couple tenths, and that's what I didn't figure out, that both Graham and James figured out, is how to keep the car fast at the end. Graham actually set the fast lap time for the race, beat me by about a tenth or so. So he's still the man. I mean, unfortunately, David Strid, who gave us an awesome setup. I really, really like when the setup is just a little bit free. It really suits my style, and I felt like if you didn't adjust the car at all, it was slightly on the free side. But I don't know. It's very, very raceable. David does a great job. I'm sorry he didn't have a great day. His incident actually happened right in front of me. Glad I wasn't involved in it. Glad I didn't become a part of it, I should say. And hey, it just congratulations to Graham and James, and I'm very proud to be on the podium with them. Thank you to Skit Quick for always sponsoring the league. Thanks to the people who tune in and watch us, and thanks to you, Trevor.
Absolutely. Always my pleasure. Thanks for joining us, Jason Lowe, and good luck with your championship hunt here. It's still on. Maybe that top position may be a little out of reach right now, but second is certainly in play for the championship, and good luck with that for the remaining couple of races.
Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, Graham would have to have some pretty bad luck to get caught, but it's not over yet.
It's never over. That's a true racer right there. Jason Lowe joining us, taking third place. Fantastic climb back up into the field. And, that's the type of competitive spirit that we are so used to seeing out of Jason Lowe. And so it's great to have him back in competitive form, and we'll see whether or not he can challenge for that race win here. A couple of great races yet to come from Michigan International Speedway and then Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Now, we get a chance to talk, though, with our race winner live from Victory Circle right here on VirtualRacing.Network. It is Graham Bunyan, who celebrates another race victory here in Season 15. Graham, congratulations on another victory, this time at Phoenix. How does it feel, and how did your race go?
Yeah, hey, I should say what Scott McLaughlin said and said, hey, did I do it? Awesome race, awesome setup. A lot of bad luck there with Dave. That was just, very unfortunate. But provided an excellent setup, man, and congrats to the podium, Jason and James, well done.
Absolutely. Everybody talking about how great the setup was. Jason, of course, saying that he likes it being a little free. And it seemed like everybody managed to keep control over the setup today. There were no spins coming off of exits, which is traditional with people who aren't able to adjust their car over the length of the stint. How did you feel like the car really drove today over the course of the stint? We didn't see much tire degradation, lap time fall off. Otherwise, were you having to make many adjustments, or was this pretty much just get used to the way the car drives and go as fast as you can?
Just very minor adjustments in 3 and 4, and then a couple back in 1 and 2, but nothing major. It was a pretty good setup, and I haven't even looked at my degradation, but yeah, it was not very much fall off at all. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just good. Phoenix, it had everybody confused because it's a new Phoenix, so everybody was trying to get their head around where the pits were, and I think a lot of them couldn't understand that turn 4 was actually the old turn 1, and whatever, vice versa.
I remember when they debuted this in open and fixed racing, it caught everybody out. Absolutely nobody could figure out what was going on, and those who did were long gone at the front of the field. But you obviously getting around and doing the occasional races on iRacing obviously knew how this would play out in terms of that pit strategy and restart strategy. And so, but nevertheless, that wasn't really the end factor here with a late race caution and everybody kind of on the same game plan. How did you manage to size up James Kennedy for that race win? And did you feel like that pass was many laps premeditated, or was it just taking what came to you?
Yeah, look, throughout the beginning of the race, I was just running very conservative, and I knew I had the pace once I got into clean air, but I'm quite surprised a lot more people didn't work out that the high line was the better line if you wanted to pass, because it actually gave you a good slingshot, because you're holding the speed on the outside, and while the car down low is pushing out, you're also getting their draft as well, so that gives you the opportunity to pass in the next turn. So, yeah, yeah, yellows. Wow, I just wish the guys would catch up to the pace car a lot quicker, because I think it cost me 3 spots or something. People were in front of me that shouldn't have been in front of me. I'm like, But yeah, that's when I had to race back past, I think it was Don, Dan, and James, and somebody else, I don't know, maybe Dominic.
And you did, and yet you made it look easy. You got caught up in a battle there, and then at the very end, what was that like for you when you're coming up on the backside of Don Reedy and Dan Ensch? Now, of course, I don't know if you've raced against Don, but he came in with a bang, and he was running top 5 times. He was up there in the lead. Maybe a new driver to watch out for here in the league. But nevertheless, you're approaching from the back, and you see them in a battle, and you're thinking, what exactly? How do I get around these drivers? Do I bother to try to get around them? What exactly was your plan at that point?
Have a spare pair of pants on standby, because I was watching that unfold for like, I think it was like 10 laps or so, and I knew I was catching, and I sort of didn't want to stay behind, because there was a couple of times there they got pretty close together, and I thought, God, if they wreck in front of me, I'm going to end up going through the middle of it. So I really needed to get by with safety, and I think Don there just sort of lifted the gas at one stage and went out wide, so I went out and under, and I think Dan did the same there for me to get around them, so that was good by them. You know, it's good sportsmanship on that side of things. But they had their own battle, and I didn't want to get involved in that, but I think I may have, because I think Don hit Dan at the very end.
At the very end, but I think you gave enough space for everybody to get around it. You know, Don's clever. He took advantage. He kind of freight trained on the outside, following your path over the outside, and I think Dan took a defensive line down to the inside, maybe take a little shallow entry, not able to hold the line through the corner and the speed through the corner, and Don threw everything he could at it, and I covered the replay here because I just wanted to see. He let the car drift out on exit and actually go up and hit the wall. That's how much he let the speed carry through the exit, and he still managed to get Dan just before the line. So kind of exciting, yes indeed, and perhaps you were a part of it, but either way, just part of racing, right? Like you said, you had to navigate safely around those lap cars that were involved in a battle, and you did so successfully. Graham, you do it successfully, seems like just about every week, but the last couple of weeks especially, and what a phenomenal treat for all of us viewers to be able to watch you in operation out there. Congratulations. Anybody else that you want to thank before we move on with the end of the broadcast?
Look, everybody, you know, from Richard, Kelbaugh, David Street for supplying the setups, Jason Lowe for keeping this league going, Mike West, my teammate, for getting in there and having a go each week and giving me fuel numbers, and AJ pops in every now and then and does a few numbers as well. And you got your supporters, Danny and all the other guys, Ryan Bowles, who unfortunately is not here this weekend. I'm not sure what he had planned this weekend, but just everybody. Everybody's great. They do well. Nobody goes out to intentionally wreck anybody week in, week out, and it's good racing.
Absolutely. Fantastic racing and fantastic camaraderie amongst this group of regulars who's been together literally for years now. And so, Graham, thanks so much, and we'll see you again next week. Michigan International Speedway, I know one of your favorites where you just plant your right foot and turn left, but still exhilarating, and you looking forward to it and hopefully putting this 5th consecutive championship in the bag?
Yeah, definitely. I'm off work for 6 weeks now, so I've got to have surgery on Tuesday, so I'll see how I go for next week, if I can actually sit down and hold my legs together.
Oh my goodness. Well, that is interesting news, and of course we do wish you best of luck with that, and look forward to talking to you privately and finding out more information. But Graham Bunyan, champion 4 times consecutively over. We'll see whether he can crown himself again next week. Good luck with the rest of the season, man.
No worries, thank you, and thanks for everything you do, and thanks to Stick Quick for being there year in, year out, season in, season out. Whatever it is, it's there. We
love Stick Quick. That's Graham Bunyan from Brisbane joining us here on VirtualRacing.Network, the winner of round number 10 for season 15 here at Phoenix International Raceway, presented by Stick Quick. As you heard, stickquick.com, your partner in getting the best gifts for anybody, your friends or your family. Let's buy 100 of those, please. Just buy 100 packages. Somebody out there, you're rich, just buy them and give them away to your friends and family, and see if we can get some promotion going for Stick Quick. But in the meantime, it has been a fantastic show here today and a great race. I hope you truly enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe, and you'll of course get all of our upcoming races here on VirtualRacing.Network. Here's a look at the end of the schedule. We just did Phoenix, we've got Michigan, and then of course the Air Camps 250, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Make sure you're there for that. I personally am also going to be a fan of the next race. Who can forget the US 500 when that was so important during the US IndyCar wars that were going on. And then the very next week we go to the next track that's equally important, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the 2 best tracks in the history of the US IndyCar wars, and we're going to have them back to back. So join us next week, same time, same channel, VirtualRacing.Network. Subscribe, like this video. We love y'all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and please everybody wish Graham Bunyan safe recovery and well wishes for his surgery. In the meantime, have a great rest of your week. See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.